How to replace yourself from sales in 90 days. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact roadmap and systems that I use in my clients' businesses in order to replace them from the sales calls. So, to give you some context, my name is Shashank and I run a company called Top Line Selling along with my co founder in India. And we have produced over 8 crores in revenue for our clients in the last 19 months of operations. We have personally taken over 8,000 plus one-on-one sales calls combined, and we run a 40% sales team right now in India. And we do this for some of the biggest coaches in India that you might already be familiar with. One of them is Rajan Sibbal. His Instagram handle is Diet Monetization. He has approximately 500,000 followers on Instagram. So before working with us, Rajan was doing anywhere around like 13.5 lakhs per month in cash collection. And within 90 days, we were able to take his cash collection to 30 lakhs per month, which is more than the double of what he was doing previously. So with that being said, now let's get into the exact system and how you can implement this in your own business to get out of calls. So the one thing that you actually have to understand is if you are a coach or a consultant doing 5 lakhs or more than that, and you are on every sales call, you do not have a leads or a talent problem. It's not that there are no good closers out in the market, or it's not that there are no good setters in the market. It is there. It's not a talent problem. And it's also not a leads problem that you have right now. It's a systems problem that you are currently facing. Now, majority of coaches actually make this mistake. So let me walk you through some maths and help you out with this. So let's suppose in a month you're getting 100 book calls. Out of that, you have a 20% conversion rate. We are keeping it very simple. That means you converted 20 people. At a 30K ticket price, that'll be 6 lakh in revenue that you generated. But the problem is every rupee went through you. Because you were on every sales calls, that is why the entire system was able to produce 6 lakh. Now that is not a system, that is called founder dependency. If tomorrow you want to take a vacation or want to take a break, or maybe you get sick, what happens to the business? It just stagnates and it stops, right? So that is not a scalable way of doing it. Even if you add more leads, that just means that now you have to take more calls. That does not solve the problem. Now, another thing that you might think is, yeah, Shashank, I know that. So that is exactly the reason why I want to hire a closer from the market. And then I would be able to scale, right? Absolutely wrong. Why? Because right now you do not have any sales system. So even if you even if I give you the best closer on the world, they would just simply come in and won't be able to produce anything. Let that actually sink in, because majority entrepreneurs that I work with, the coaches and consultants, what happens is they start paid advertisements with a marketing agency or themselves. They do it for a month. They themselves never have closed at least 30-50 people from cold traffic. They do not do that. They simply do it for a month. They see, okay, leads are coming in, let's hire a closer and give the leads to the closer. He or she will close the leads for me. But that's a recipe for disaster. And if you have been in the game for a while, and if you have previously hired closers from LinkedIn, Instagram, and references, you have probably already faced this, that the closers do not perform. And that is not because the closer does not have talent. It's because that you do not have a sales system on top of which the closer can actually work and help you to succeed and make some money themselves as well, of course. So what you need to understand is you're trying to build a building, a strong building, but your foundation is completely broken. You do not have a foundation. So of course the building is you will not be able to build that building. And that is what is happening with you. So now the question in your mind is, Shashank, what is the fix? If I should not hire a closer, I should not increase the leads, what should I do? The fix is very boring, but it actually works. You need to build the system first, and then you can hire any closer and they will perform. So the mechanism is in this exact order. Number one, you need training. Number two is hiring. And number three is management. A good sales system will make an average closer perform like a top performer. But a bad system will even destroy a top performer, a top sales rep. So remember that. And let's work on the system, which is going to be your pillar number one, which I would like to call as the training period. When should you actually hire a closer? Let me make that very clear. If you have ran cold ads, you're running advertisements on Meta, Google, whatever, you're running cold ads for a while, at least for 2 3 months, you have a predictable lead flow, you know that you can fill in the calendar of a closer, then that is criteria number one. Then you should actually think about hiring. Number two that you need to remember is you have personally at least taken 100 sales calls and you have converted bare minimum 20 to 30 people from cold traffic. If that is not done yet, you cannot hire a closer. These two are the main, I would say, checkpoints that you need to keep in mind, that you have a predictable lead flow where, because ultimately, if you hire a good closer, their income is directly dependent on your marketing system. And if your marketing system is not sorted out, then you are just gambling with their future and their income, right? That is not the way to do it. So, firstly, make sure you have a proper marketing system, predictable lead flow. And secondly, you personally have closed 20 to 30. Why, Shashank? Why should I close 20 to 30 deals? I am not a closer. I'm not a salesperson. I am a tech person. I am a marketing person. I am a back end operations person. I get that. I understand where you're coming from. But again, if you personally haven't closed your own service where you are the founder, you are the main expert, if you haven't sold to cold traffic, then how do you expect a random closer to come in and do it for you? If you yourself do not know what is the recipe of success in order to close a deal in your own industry for your own service, then what training would you give to your closer? Would you just tell him take hundreds of calls and figure it out themselves? But the next question would be, would you actually have the appetite to give him 100 calls so that they can figure it out? And what if the closer is not good enough to actually figure it out themselves? So that is why before actually giving them the calls, you need to have a proper system and you need to make sure that you have a validated sales process. And that is why you should take calls initially and only then look at hiring. Now comes the main thing. Shashank, how do I build this selling framework? How do I actually get this validated sales process? Very simple. And that is where the training comes into play. And this is exactly what will transfer to the closer that you eventually hire in future. So you need to understand that selling is not about convincing, selling is belief shifting. This is the part almost nobody understands. So just stay with me over here. People do not buy your program. They buy a version of themselves that they cannot reach on their own. That is what they are buying. Not your program, not your course. Your prospect is stuck at point A. He's skeptical. He has been burned before. He has, burned his money in the marketplace. And they want to be in this point B, which is the desired reality. And the person who finally has solved this challenge that they are facing. So your entire job is to walk them from point A, which is their current situation, to the desired situation, which is point B. And that is exactly what I call as the identity based selling mechanism. Now, if you are going on sales calls and you're just pitching your services and showing off your knowledge and thinking that it'll help you to actually close a lot of deals, that's not going to work out. Why? Because in order to close a cold traffic person, you need to follow a predictable sales framework on the call. Let me share with you the identity based selling, the 9 beliefs that we cover on every call that makes the prospect sell themselves without you pitching or telling them about the features or showcasing your knowledge. And because it is a framework, that is why your future hires will be able to replicate this. So here is the mechanic. Before anyone buys, they have to be sold, or they have to hold these 9 beliefs in their mind. These are the exact 9 beliefs that we install on every call, right? If you miss any of these 9 beliefs, that is going to show up as an objection in the end. So instead of working on objection handling, what we work at TLS is objection prevention. And that's why we cover these 9 beliefs. What are the 9 beliefs? Let me walk you through them very quickly. Number 1 is the pain belief. In terms of pain, you need to actually make sure that there is enough pain on the call. The person should understand the gravity of his pain. If that is not being done on the call, there won't be enough urgency for them to buy and you'll get that objection in the end. Second is the money belief. Very simple. We cover this to make sure that the person is financially qualified and only spend more time after that. Third is the support belief. Support belief is where you qualify them whether they are the decision maker or it is somebody else the decision maker. Because we don't want at the end of the call that it comes as a surprise to us, okay, that I was in the decision maker, I'll have to talk to my partner or spouse or whatever. Next is opportunity cost. We should actually quantify and put it in numbers that, let's suppose if you would had a solution to this exact same problem a year ago, how much more money could you have already saved? How much more revenue could you have already produced for your business? And they should say that number. This helps you to increase the urgency. That's called opportunity cost. Next is the doubt belief. If you have ever gotten that, ever gotten that objection in the end, okay, Shashank, everything sounds good, but let me just try it on my own for a month. And if it doesn't work out, I'll come back to you. That means that you have not injected the doubt in their mind that they cannot do it themselves. They need expert help. And that is exactly why we cover the doubt belief. Next is the solution belief, which is very important for the coaching industry. Because in the coaching industry, everybody has tried out something, everybody has burned their hands with bad experiences, right? And everybody is looking for a specific thing now because buyers are more sophisticated nowadays, right? So solution belief allows us to ask the right questions so that we can customize our pitch and make sure we are not pitching something that they already had a bad experience with. And at the same time, we are also understanding what is the right solution for them, right? That's the solution belief. The seventh is the consequence belief. Again, this is there to induce urgency so that in the end, they are not going to tell you, okay, I'll think about it. I'll do it after a week, after a month, blah, 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 right? So consequence is where we ask them this question ki, suppose you continue the way you are continuing for the next 6 months. Where do you see yourself? What are the ramifications that you might have to face as the business owner? And they then start telling you the consequences. Okay, my sales will go down, revenue will go down, profits will go down, blah, 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 right? The number eight belief is desire that we cover. This is actually the outcome that they want. You remember the desired situation I was talking about? So you need to actually ask them the right questions so they tell you exactly what the desired situation looks like. So you can ask them, okay, what's your goal and what's the monetary goal? Why is that important, etc., etc. And the final and the last belief is trust belief that you need to cover before pitching so that you should know whether they trust you in the first place or not. Because if they are a very cold lead and you have not done any pre-call nurturing, no matter what you do, no matter how many case studies you show on the call, they won't give you a one call close. It will go into follow-ups. So that is why we cover the trust belief to understand where are they. Are they warm? Are they very cold? If they are very cold, let's not pitch them. We'll book a second call. These are the 9 beliefs that I cover and I teach to all my B2C reps, all the reps that I'm handling. This is the probing part of our entire TLS methodology. Then, of course, we have a pitch methodology, we have objection handling. But if you are not following this on every sales call, if you do not have a framework like this, you are missing out. You need a framework which is validated. So once I have taught you this framework, go use it in your market, take 50 calls, convert 20 people out of them. Again, of course, that's an exaggeration. I'm just throwing out numbers. Convert 20 people out of them. Now you have a validated sales framework. And this sales framework or sales script is what you can now forward to your hire that you are going to hire a closer, right? You can just tell him this script works, follow this, ask these questions. And you can also give them the winning call recordings of the 20 people that you closed. Now ramping up the closer becomes supremely easy. And now if they are failing, it is because they lack the skills and the coachability, not because you do not have a system. You see what was missing? If you just hire a closer, this is what is missing. Next is every objection that you ever heard is just one of these missing, as I already told you. So just to give you more context, if somebody says it is too expensive, it means that the money and the opportunity cost beliefs are missing. They do not feel staying stuck costs more than the fix. If they say I'll think about it, that means the doubt or desire is missing. They're not sure whether it'll work for them or they do not want it badly enough. And if they say that I need to ask my partner, that means support or trust belief is missing on the call. So ultimately, our framework allows you to stop handling objections and it allows you to prevent objections in the first place. So objections are not things to overcome, they are beliefs that you forgot to build. Very simple. Now, once you have that, the rest of the training is writing it down so it lives outside of your head, because it's of no use if the entire sales script or the framework lives inside your head. You need to create a SOP out of that. And one tactic almost everyone sleeps on is your dead leads are money. This is a very good tactic that I teach. Whenever I hire a closer or a setter, I don't instantly give them new leads to start dialing on. I give them all the older leads that I already have, the dead leads. Why? Because everyone chases new leads and ignores the one that went cold, 3 or 6 months ago. So what I'll do is I'll put someone on that old list and tell them to dial and close from that. and produced couple of sales, and it always works out. Like it literally always prints additional money, and you don't have, the best part is you don't have to spend any additional ad spend. I recently did this with one of our clients, Sachin Hebar. Is a gut health reversal coach. So we hired a new setter for his team on 15th of last month, 15th July. The guy was already one of my closers, so we had already trained him. So he just needed product training, which took 1 day, 2 days. And from the third day onwards, he was on dials. And in 15 days, we were able to close additional 4 deals from the old leads of 2025, which he was dialing. So that is just extra money sitting in your, CRM. So that cost us nothing. It just cost the, of course, the salary and the incentive, but that was like additional 1 to 2 lakhs that we can add in the business very easily. So you can try that out. So the lesson over here is very system. The day the system leaves your head and goes on paper is the day the business stops depending on you. Now, that is the overall training aspect of it, where you need to document everything. Next is the pillar number 2, which is your favorite pillar, hiring. Now, in hiring, I can tell you, hiring is not as straightforward as it seems like, that you just go on LinkedIn or your personal network, see who are the closers and just hire them. If it was that simple, then everybody would be able to build scalable sales systems for their businesses. So let me actually walk you through what all things you need to have in your business before you hire, and how to actually hire the right person. So, because one bad hire can actually cost you a lot of money, time, and efforts. So, we don't want that. Stop hiring people and start hiring against a standard. And most of this happens before you ever post the role. Now, what are the exact steps that you need to take before you hire? Before you hire, two things have to exist properly. Number one is a compensation plan, which is, of course, non negotiable. Now, this is not admin, it is attraction. Good closers ask about the comp plan structure first. No comp plan is equal to no good people that you will hire. Build a base plus incentive so the total keeps your sales team cost under 20 to 25% revenue. Now, this is very important because comp plan is not uh, gone are the days where you could just hire a closer for commission basis. Okay, take 10% commission on every deal. No, even closers nowadays want more stability, so they demand a salary. So you need to give them a salary anywhere around 25 to 35K based on their experience. Remaining would be the incentives. Now the comp plan that you make needs to be incentivizing enough for you to attract a good closer. Because if your on track earnings for a closer is not like 1 to 2 lakhs a month, then you won't be able to attract the top talent, right? So that is why you need to learn how to play with those numbers, where you should add bonuses, because once you add bonuses at certain levels, it actually pushes and motivates the closer to get that additional unit, get those additional closes done. So it's a very complex thing. I cannot explain in this video, but of course, if you want, I can create a separate video on how to build compensation plans. Personally, I have like 5 to 6 templates, different templates of compensation plans that I have. And based on the business and the offer that we are working with, I like just install one of them and it works fantastically. The next thing that you need is a proper job description. You need a clear role with clear numbers, clear expectation, and this is exactly what decides who even applies. Then run this process properly. What you need to understand is, when I say a proper job description, you even need to have clear targets for them defined before you actually start the interview process. Whenever, as a practice, I'll give you my practice. Whenever I hire anybody, they are always hired on a probation period of 28 days, right? In the 28 days, initially, I'll give them the KPI targets that they need to hit in this probation period. If they hit those targets, they stay on the team. If not, then we do a review. The review is not okay, they did not hit quantitatively. We also look at the qualitative parameters. How were they showing up on every call? Were they proactive? Were they coachable throughout the month? If these parameters are being met, then we still keep them on the team and give them chance. We also see whether they were, implementing the feedback that we were giving them regularly on the training sessions. If these things are also missing, then we just simply replace the person. We do not like continue with that. And that is something you need to learn as a founder, because most founders, after hiring a closer, they get emotionally attached to the closer. You need to understand, set the right expectation, give them everything they require, give them the numbers that they need to hit, If they're not hitting it both quantitatively and qualitatively, replace them. Don't drag it. I've seen so many founders dragging the closers for 3 months, 6 months, and it is costing them lakhs and lakhs of rupees for the business. So don't do that, right? Next is then you run this process properly. You never hire off one interview. You need to take at least this is the bare minimum, 5 interviews before you decide, and run every serious candidate through these 3 rounds specifically. Round number one is the culture fit round, where we see do they match how you operate. What does that mean is, do they match your values? Because the energy or the vibe, that is what uh, another word can be for culture fit. Are they a team member? Are they like, do you like working with them? Let's suppose if you went for an offline in the event and you invited your entire team, and if they were there, would you actually like hanging out with them? If no, then they are not your person, don't hire them. Next is round number two, which is the skill test. Can they actually sell on a mock call or a live scenario, or are they just making up numbers, or are they just having a very good resume on paper and they're like zero in action? So that is round number two. And round number three is the compensation round, where you walk them through the comp plan and log the alignment. You set the right expectations, give them the timelines, tell them the KPIs that they need to hit, show them the entire, vision of the company, mission of the company, and tell them this is how, if they work with this company, they'll be able to hit their personal goals. That is all you do in round number three. And what are their personal goals? You get to know that in the culture fit round itself. You ask them, of course. So for the all these 3 rounds, I have like proper score cards and proper questions that I have. And on every interview, I just run that. I ask those same questions. I give them score, and on that basis, it becomes very simple for me. And another rule that you need to keep in mind is always hire 2 people, not one. And if one drops, you're not stranded, because when you hire 2 people, there is healthy competition between the two. If both perform, keep both of them. If one performs, one doesn't, remove this one who performed, keep them on the team. So you do not have to repeat the cycle from zero ever again. Now, if you're thinking, Shashank, how do I hire 2 people? I'll have to give 60,000 in salary. That'll be 30,000. Yes, exactly. That is the reason why I'm telling you that you need to be at 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs. You need to know how to close deals yourself, so you're not dependent on a closer. Because once you know sales, and you know that if you take 15 calls, you'll be able to close 3 or 4 people out of them, then this question won't arise in your mind. If this is arising in your mind, this is the exact reason, because you do not have confidence in your own skills to actually sell, and you do not have that money in the bank account right now to afford 2 closers. So do not skip pillar number one, which is the training. Follow that and then only hire a person. Next is, once they are in, you do not throw them on the calls and pray. You ramp them up. So put them on a probation period with clear KPIs to hit inside it. Miss the KPI, they do not stay. This keeps your standard high from day number one. Hand them a full sales onboarding document with your product training recorded inside it, so they can go through the whole thing and be on real calls in the next 3 to 7 days. You already built this in the training phase. And now you understand why I told you to take calls, because now you have a documented sales process, you have your winning call recordings, and you have a product training, which of course you will have to record once. And you put all of these things in your onboarding document, sales onboarding document, and give that document to the new person. Simple. It's documented, it's fast. No person can make an excuse that they're still going through the resources. Now, if you're hiring a closer and you have a very complex product, it'll take them approximately 7 days before they can jump on closing calls. Again, if you have a very complex product, if you have a simple product, 3 days maximum. If you're hiring a setter, you should give them 2 days to ramp up, then put them on dials. That is the entire hiring pillar that we take care of course, for our clients. So the lesson over here is, you're not hiring a closer, you are hiring someone to run a system that already works. And that is the main difference. Once these two things are done, we move on to the pillar number three, management. And this is the main thing which actually breaks your sales team or makes your sales team. Without management, like, you won't be able to scale the business. It's very, very important. And you'll understand why. Hiring someone is not the same as being free. Management is the ongoing work that keeps the team producing and keeps them from walking out. So, what is management? This has happened so many times. You hired a good person, you did the onboarding, and then you vanished. They started producing results, but then you vanished. You did not do any call reviews. You're not meeting them. It was just a few phone calls during the day. Okay, how many closes? How many calls did you do? That's it. And there was no real connection between the founder and the closer, or the sales manager and the closer. And the closer felt like, okay, they were not part of something and they left. And you were then confused, okay, why did he leave? Why he or she left? Because there was no sales culture that you built in the entire company. And that is what management actually does. It creates a proper sales culture. It makes sure that everybody is giving their best. It holds everybody accountable on the team, and it makes sure that they can see that their vision and personal goals are being met by working in this company. And that is how you retain A plus talent in your team. So what are the tasks of management? Let me make it more practical for you. Number one is daily trainings and daily huddles. This is non negotiable. If you're not conducting daily huddles and trainings, you're not running a sales team. Then don't expect to scale your business. What do you do in this? And again, this is not optional. What you do in this is where sales cultures actually gets built. And without culture, you will never retain good talent. They leave for 5,000 extras for more somewhere else, of course. This is also where you show them the vision, not just company targets, their personal goals, and exactly how staying here gets them there. People stay for a future they can see. Watch the numbers, but do not drown in them. So you need to conduct daily huddles in order to have that pulse of the business. You need to know what's happening in the business on a regular basis. How many calls were taken yesterday? How many offers were made? What was the show up rate yesterday? What was the set rate yesterday? If you do not know these numbers, then you won't be able to scale. Sales is completely a majority part of it is just numbers. And if you're good with it, then you'll be able to solve challenges. And don't worry, by the end of this video, I'll give you those 5 numbers that I personally manage for my clients. And just using these 5 numbers, you'll be able to scale your business. So stick around for that. Next is we personally stopped using any manual sheets. We used to use a lot of Google Sheets. It was very confusing to manage. So we shifted to a dashboard that gives us daily and weekly reports automatically and reviews the calls for us. It is our own TLS system that I have built overall. It does AI call reviews. All the closers and setters fill their data over there. Doesn't matter whether you have an inbound funnel or a webinar funnel or an outbound sales team, you can still use the dashboard, and everything, all the sales data would be at one place, and it's your entire sales intelligence over there, right? It can also analyze the data and tell you what's broken, what's not broken. You'll be able to see call recordings, follow up pipelines, their commissions for each closer. Everything is automated on that, which makes management super simple. So that is the difference between managing by gut and by managing by data. So it should not take you more than 1.5 hours, which is 90 minutes per day, to actually manage your own team if you have the TLS dashboard, right? And if you're not willing to spend 90 minutes, then good luck scaling. Next is you run the backend sales operations. With the dashboard, managing an entire sales team end to end takes about hour to hour and a half a day, because the clarity is already there and you are reading, deciding, and clearing the blocks. You're not doing the work. So lesson is, off the calls does not mean absent. It means you moved from doing the work to reading the numbers and clearing the blocks and making sure that somebody else does the work perfectly. That is what management is all about. Now, the 5 things that keep founders stuck, let me again reiterate this. Number one is hiring before building the system. And now you know why that fails all the time. Next is having no comp plan, so you cannot attract anybody good. Next is hiring off one interview and skipping probation. Of course, you are going to get burnt. Next is no call reviews or daily huddles, so the team just drifts and then quits. And lastly, no tracking, so you are blind and you get pulled back inside the sales mechanism. Now, what I want you to do is you go and audit your entire sales funnel yourself. I promise you, I'll give you the 5 metrics that I actually just use for any inbound funnel that I am running. Any inbound, what is an inbound funnel? Where people are directly booking calls, right? Even if they are not booking calls, you're getting leads. That is an inbound funnel. How do you audit this? So if you're running a call booking funnel, you only need to remember 5 numbers. Number one, set rate. What is set rate? Let's say you got 100 leads, not calls, 100 leads, and your setter called 100 people. Out of those, how many people booked? Let's suppose he booked 10 people. So that is a 10% set rate. That's your first metric you need to track and maintain in your mind. Second is the show up rate. Very simple. Let's say 100 people booked a call, but only 80 people showed up. That's a 80% show up rate. Next is the close rate. Out of the 80 people who showed up, how many actually converted and paid you? Let's suppose 8 people converted, that's a 10% close rate. Next is the average cash collected. Average means average, right? Let's suppose you have an average ticket size of 1 lakh rupees. You have a ticket size of 1 lakh, but your average cash collection is 50,000 because you give payment plans to everybody. So then your average cash collection is 50,000 rupees, not 1 lakh. So it is basically how you calculate that is the total cash collection you got for that month, and you divide it by the total number of units. You get your average cash collected. And the last lever that you have is your leads. How many leads are you getting every single month? It can be leads or calls, bookings, depending on the funnel. So pull them today. Whichever one is the lowest is exactly where you are bleeding. And that is what you need to fix first. As an example, let's say show up alone is 100 calls booked and the show up rate is 60% and there is a 20% close rate. The total is 12 sales that you will be able to get in the month. Now the same 100 leads with the 90% show up rate is 18 sales, right? So just by improving the show up rate by 20% can actually give you 6 additional deals. And if you're charging 1 lakhs, that is like 6 lakhs additional that you can add on. With the same ad spend, with the same everything, you just got 6 more deals, right? A 10% jump in one number can actually add lakhs without a single you need. So that is what you need to understand over here. Another example, if I have to give you, let's say your close rate is 10% and you're closing, I don't know, 10 deals and making 10 lakh rupees in revenue. If you double your close rate to 20% with the same ad spend, same everything, you made 20 lakhs in the next month. Why? Because now your conversion rate is 20%. And that is the kind of work that we do on a regular basis for our clients. That is why it is impactful. So do this before anything else. Write your call framework and one closer script this week. List the 9 beliefs and map your current pitch against them and find the gaps and pull every old lead into one list and start dialing. Once this is done, you move on to the hiring part and then you move on to the management part. So this is the whole system that we actually deploy in our clients' businesses. So if you would rather build it with us, other than like if you want us to do it with you, right, then there is a link below in the description where you can book a call with me directly and we can just see how we can help you out in your offer and help you to scale the business. So just subscribe to the channel if you want more valuable videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.